Welcome to My Tech Gear and welcome to another Tech Tip Tuesday. Now, this week I'm focusing on the Samsung S20 range of phones. Now, I have done a video already that shows you how to remove Bixby and replace it with Google Assistant if you want. I'll post a link to that at the end of this video if you want to have a look at that. This video is about more tips and tricks of how to tweak the S20 to really customize it to how you want it. So I'm going to be going through the look and the feel and look at some of the apps that are available on the S20 that you may or may not know about. Let's get into it. Now, before we go any further, if you do enjoy the video, don't forget to like and share it. And if you're not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button down below and that notification bell so you're notified about new videos as and when I make them. It really helps me build up my channel so that I can keep making videos for you. Thanks. So one of the first things you're going to want to be doing with the Samsung S20 is setting a lock screen pattern. So in order to do that, we just have to go into settings, and if we find our lock screen option that's down here, you can see your lock screen type up here. There's a few options in this space. It will ask me to enter my PIN before I enter it because I've had one already set up. Now you can see the various options here. Pattern and PIN are going to be your minimums. PIN is the minimum recommended at least. Once you've got that set up, it enables you to have biometrics as an option as well. You can choose between face and fingerprints. I wouldn't say go with face because there is the possibility that someone with a picture of you could use that to unlock your phone. So the fingerprint option is definitely the better option to go with. Once you've got that set up, when your phone is locked like this, you can now use your fingerprint just to unlock the phone. Easy. What you just saw previously was also the always on display. So I've got it set to always show, but if we go into here, you can actually change it to be just tap to show, which means the screen will be black unless you tap it and then it will display. You can set it to a schedule as well, so you might just want it on during the day or at night or on a timer, but I've got it set to always show at the moment. There's also some options you can do here with the notifications. So by default, when the always on display turns up, these icons here are just icons. If I click on it, I can't get any more information. So there is an option to show a bit more information in your notifications, even on the lock screen. So if we go back into settings, and then if we go back and in our lock screen settings, we go down to notifications, there's a view style of details or icons only. Details will give you a bit more information, and icons only will just give you that icon. So you can see the difference of the more information that you get. I like to have it as details, gives you a bit more information, like it will start to give you the start of a Gmail message, for instance, on your lock screen, so you know whether your phone's worth opening. So in your always on display screen here, you can see this little icon here that shows you where your fingerprint can go. That's not on by default, so you need to go and enable that. So in settings, if I go up to here and I go to my biometrics and I go into the fingerprints, it's going to ask for a PIN again. You can now see this option of show icon when screen is off. Either tap to show, similar to the always on display itself, or on always on display, and that's what I've got it set to. So that just helps you know where you're supposed to put your thumb or whatever finger you've registered to unlock the phone. So you can certainly customize this phone quite a bit in how it looks and how it feels. If we concentrate on the display just for the moment here, if I go into my settings, there's the display setting here. Clicking on that, the most obvious one to first look at is the display mode itself, between light and dark. What you've been looking at the moment is the light mode. If I switch this to dark, you'll now notice that the screen goes black. Now for me, there's a couple of advantages here. The first one is that with an OLED screen, whatever black isn't using power. So it is going to use less power and your battery will last a little bit longer. Other one is that if you're looking at this at night or in a dark setting, it's not going to glare as much in your face. I personally find it easy to read, but I recommend trying both out and see which one you prefer. Another option, if you go back into the display settings again, is going to be the motion smoothness. This is basically the hertz rating of the phone. It has two options. By default, it will be set to standard, which is 60 hertz. You can change that to high, which is going to set it to 120 hertz. That means that the screen is updating 120 times a second instead of 60. That's, well, double obviously, but it's quite a significant difference. You're not really going to see it on the screen here because the video is recording at 30 frames a second, but if you try it out yourself, decide whether it's worth changing it so that you actually get that smoother refresh rate. There will be a battery hit, so your battery won't last as long, but it's not a significant difference, so try it out and see what you think. If you have any Samsung S20 apart from the FE model, which is the one I've got here, in the display settings there will also be a screen resolution option where you can choose between Quad HD or Full HD. It's not on the FE model for some reason. Now that Quad HD will be significantly sharper a screen, however if you do select that Quad HD you won't be able to select the 120Hz refresh rate, so it's a trade-off whether you want the smoother screen or the higher resolution. To be honest, on a 6-7 inch screen, Full HD is going to be sufficient unless maybe you're watching movies, but again try them out and see which one you like the best. Blue light filter for me is one that you want to look at keeping on or on a timer at least, so that reduces the amount of blue light that hits your eyes, which at night will help you sleep. So I actually have it on all the time, but you can have it as a schedule as well, so maybe just have it on coming at night. Now all of the cameras have this punch hole camera up at the top, and you can't really notice it here, but if I go into settings you can see it's quite noticeable, and not everybody likes that, so you can actually hide it. So in the settings under display, if I go to the full screen app option, which is down here, and then go into advanced settings on the top right, there's an option of hide camera cutout. What that does is basically shift the screen and do a black bar across the top, and because it's an OLED screen it's jet black and it really does hide it out. However, the downside of this is it's now just shrunk your screen down so you can't see it as well. So I've actually got a better option that I think hides the camera better and gives you your full screen. So if you unhide that, or unhide the hide, however that works, go back here, and if we go into our display settings and go back up to dark mode, if you turn dark mode on, it pretty much hides the camera anyway. Most of your settings it's going to be hidden by this dark thing across the top because that's your default mode. So now you've got the camera hidden and you've got the full display. So I think that's a better option than forcibly hiding it. However, this is what's so great about Android and Samsung phones is you can customize this and really pick the option that's best for you. If you truly do want to customize the most out of this phone with wallpapers and themes and widgets, then there is the Samsung theme store. So under settings, if I go and look for themes, here you will find where you can download packs. Some are free, some you've got to pay for, but you can download themes, you can download wallpapers. Here's a range of wallpapers here, and you can tell it's near Christmas when I made the video. You can even download icons so that all of your icons look completely unique, and you can really customize this to be completely different. Oh, and there's also the always on displays, so when you go into that screensaver mode you can pick what your black screen will look like as well. So now that we've customized the display and how it looks, we're now going to look at how we customize the feel and how you navigate around the phone. One of the features that I like to enable pretty much straight away is the swipe anywhere for notification panel. So by default, if you want the notification panel, you have to swipe down from the top. Now, on the bigger phones, certainly like the S20 Ultra, that's a big ask and it's a bit of a pain. So I've actually got notification panel anywhere. So if I swipe down with my thumb here, it brings down the notification panel. I swipe up and it goes away. So if you want to enable that, you can just go into settings. Most settings are in this display one that's here. Under display, there is a home screen option here. So I'm going to click on that, and then there is a swipe down for notification panel. So I've got that enabled. So if you've got it disabled, turn it on, and then you can swipe down anywhere you like. Now all of the Samsung phones themselves are actually pretty big, and actually using any of them single-handedly, apart from maybe the Samsung S20, can be a bit of a chore. So there's an option to have a one-handed mode. So in settings, if I go down to advanced features, there is a one-handed mode if I scroll down here. Now if I click on that, it says I can use one-handed mode, and there's two ways of doing it, through a button or a gesture. So I'm just going to do it through a button here. So now if I'm on my home screen and I double tap this home button at the bottom, it's going to put it into a smaller window. So now here I can navigate around as though I was actually using it bigger screen, but on a smaller subsection of the screen. Once I've used that enough and I'm quite happy with it, I can just click on any area in the black and it goes back to full screen. So by default, Samsung have these navigation buttons across the bottom, and you can actually change the order of these, but Google themselves are veering towards gesture navigation, and you can change either of these in the settings. So if I go into settings and into display settings, there is a navigation bar option further down. I've lost it. There you go. So you've got the buttons and you can choose which way around you want them. I personally find it's really handy to have the back button on your dominant hand because that's where your thumb is. So if you're left-handed, I'd have it that way around, and if I'm right-handed, I'd have it that way around, so the back button would be there. Gestures is what we're looking at enabling here. So if I enable this, what it enables me to do is swipe left or right from the edge of the screen to go back. I can swipe up to go to the home screen, where if I swipe up and hold it, then it will take me to the open apps screen instead. So it's actually pretty intuitive once you get the hang of it, so I'd certainly recommend giving it a go. Now, how many app icons you view on your phone, you can actually customize as well. By default, the phone has an app drawer, so if I swipe up, it's going to take me to my app drawer where every single app I own is in a single drawer. Now, you can keep that if you want, or you can change it and say, well, actually, I only want to have all of my apps on my home screen. I don't want an app drawer. There's actually another way to get to the settings as well. If you don't have an icon on your screen here, a quick way to get to it is just swipe down through your notification panel, and then your settings is the top right icon up there. Now, to change this home drawer, home screen, or app drawer, in the settings, you just go to display, and down here will be a home screen option, and you've got a choice between home screen only or home and apps. So if I change that to home screen only and apply, now when I go back to my home screen, if I swipe up, it's doing other things other than the app drawer because it doesn't exist, and everything I have is now here. Now, I've actually got these grouped by folders, which is why you're not seeing a plethora of apps all on 10 screens. Now, folders are definitely something that I would recommend looking at. Now, it's a way of easily grouping things in whatever order that you like. So I've got them grouped by functionality. So all of my finance apps, my travel apps, my social apps, Google, my home apps, my home automation are all in separate folders. So if I go into social, I've got my Facebook and Messenger, Twitter, Instagram, all that in one place. So what that means is that everything is pretty much within 2 clicks. As opposed to if it was in the app drawer where you've got 10 screens to go and choose from. I just find that a little bit more laborious, and this is a lot more quick and to the point. So in order to set up a folder, all you have to do is grab an app by holding it, drag it over the top of another app, and when you let go, it automatically creates a folder for you. Click on the folder name and you can choose it. You can choose a name for it. My folder. I mean, you can call it anything you like. And then we click on the other side, you've now got this new folder called My Folder, and you can take apps out of it, put them in, and truly customize that home screen for you. Another thing you can do is actually control how many apps or how many rows and columns you have on your screen at any one time. So if we go into settings and we go into display, and again it's the home screen option that's down here, you'll see this home screen grid. So I've got it set to 4x6. By default it's 4x5, but I find that just a little bit big. So you can go crazy and you can go 5x6 to get even more, but again I set on that 4x6. Now that's the basic features all done, but there's a few Samsung features that I wanted to show you that I think are worth demonstrating. One I really like is the Samsung Best Shot. So in the camera app that I've just clicked on here, if I click in settings, there's a shot suggestions. What that does, it tries to use a little bit of AI to pick up what it thinks would be the best shot. And I'll show you what I mean. So if I move that this way, you'll see this dot in the middle and it's gone yellow. So where that shaded dot is there is where Samsung thinks the best shot would be. So I put it there and it thinks that is the best shot. Now I'm not saying it gets it right all the time, and this probably isn't the best shot to show you of how it works, but it's pretty interesting of how it tries to compose a picture for you. So have a try. As with most things here, all these settings are completely configurable. Try them, and if you don't like them, just undo them. Pop-out conversations is one that I like as well. So that allows you to do that kind of hover app over app, similar to what you get with the Facebook Messenger app. So in order to enable that, you go into settings, and we're now into advanced settings now. And there is a smart pop-up view. And you can say which apps you want to do smart pop-up. So if I get an SMS or I get a WhatsApp message or something like that, then it will actually hover over the top of whatever I'm doing. So rather than me having to exit my app to go to the other app to reply to a message, I can just reply to it over the top, close that down and keep doing what I'm doing. It's a really useful feature and something that's definitely worth doing. I wouldn't do it for all apps, but certainly Messenger apps, I would enable that. It's really convenient. And there's a number of digital assistants on the market, and by default it's Bixby, and Samsung are still pushing that. Honestly, don't know why, but they just are. However, if you don't want Bixby, you can actually change your default assistant in the settings. So in the settings, there is an apps option here. Now in the top right, if I click on that and click on default apps, and there is an assist app. Now if I click on that, there's a device assistance app. There you go. Man, that took me a while to say. If I click into that, you've got all your options here. You can choose from Amazon Alexa if you've got the app installed, Bixby Voice, Google, pick your poison, and that will be your default assistant app. So when I'm here and I now hold down on my home button, I've got Google set up at the moment, but it could be anything. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I hope it's given you some tips and tricks to try. Do let me know down in the comments down below if you gave any of them a go and what you thought of them. Are there any of those that you really can't live without now? Actually, are there any that I've missed and you think that others might benefit from that as well? If so, put your tips and tricks in the comments down below as well and help everybody else out. So as always, if you've enjoyed it, please don't forget to like and share. If you're still here but not subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button down below. And as always, see you in the next one.